What's going on, everybody? For First We Feast, I'm Sean Evans, and you're watching Hot Ones, the show with hot questions and even hotter wings. And today... That's the wrong show? Well, then what show is this? To be determined. So it doesn't have a title? Well, what do you want me to do? How am I supposed to introduce a show that doesn't have a title? You just want me to call it To Be Determined? Okay, that's stupid, but we'll call it that. All right, let's regroup. Hello everyone, my name is Evan and welcome to Be Determined, where the title is To Be Determined. Yes, that's right. That's our actual title. Today we're recording our very first episode. Because this is the first episode, I'm going to kind of introduce myself and give you guys an idea on where we're going to go with this podcast in the future. So let's jump into it. My name is Evan. Like I said, I consider myself to be a nerd connoisseur. I watch a lot of movies from different eras of film. I've just started dipping my toes into anime, so be patient with me on that front. I've read pretty much every comic that's ever been put to paper. If it's DC or Marvel, I've probably read it. I'm irrationally connected to anything that has dudes in rubber suits destroying fake buildings. So like Godzilla, King Kong, Pacific Rim, other big monster movies. Anyway, the unintentional cheesiness of those movies just really puts the giggles on my soul. I don't know. But with all that out of the way, I'm going to kind of give you guys an idea on what we're going to be doing here on the To Be Determined podcast. I will be hopefully having guests here on the show. Unfortunately, I couldn't get one today because, schedules didn't line up. So you'll have to put up with my annoying voice for the next 5-10 minutes or so, but I will try and make it as painless and entertaining as possible. As far as topics go, I typically tend to come in with one or two topics that I find really interesting that pertain to internet culture, current events, yada yada. And then I, towards the end, hope to take up some topics from the audience. So if you would like to contribute to the audience topics, you can either leave a comment on the YouTube channel. Please subscribe if you're watching this on the YouTube channel, by the way. Or you can go over to Instagram and follow me at It's Evan TV, ITSEVAN TV. And every day before a podcast recording session, I will put out a poll and ask you guys for some podcast ideas. So without further ado, let's get into some podcast topics. First topic for today, today, PlayStation held a showcase where they showed off some new games that they're working on, and they also announced a bunch of new titles that a lot of people are really excited for. They started with announcing Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, which, for those of you that don't know, was a game, I think it was back in the early 2000s, that takes place before the prequel trilogy takes place, and it's kind of like an introduction to the Sith and things like that. I'm not super familiar with those games, but I really enjoy the design for the Sith Lord in that game, Darth Revan. Hopefully one day we'll get Keanu Reeves to play him in a movie, and that would be really cool. But anyway, people are really hyped for that. But what I'm really hyped for are the last two games that they showed off before the end of the showcase. And by the way, that was done very well. They saved the two best for last, in my opinion. There's people that are excited for other stuff, but I'm really excited for these two games. So they waited till the very, very end of the showcase to announce a sequel to the Spider-Man PS4 game and a sequel to God of War, which are two of my favorite PS4 games. They're literally the top two on the PS4 games, and I would say both of those games are probably in my top 15 favorite games of all time. But, I don't want to get too biased here, but I just know that a lot of people are really excited for these games. In the Spider-Man one specifically, they showcased the kind of co-op aspect of it. They didn't have any gameplay as far as I'm aware, but they showed off Spider-Man and Miles Morales working together. together, excuse me. And it looks like there's going to be some team takedowns and things like that. And I feel like that's going to be really interesting to add to the gameplay dynamic. But the biggest reveal from that trailer was towards the end. They pan zoomed into a dark alley, and we get to see only a few frames of none other than the classic Spider-Man villain Venom. Everyone was really bummed whenever he wasn't in the first game, but I could definitely tell by the way that they planned it out that they were saving him for the second game to be the main villain. And I gotta say, I am very, very, very excited to see how they do that. From what we saw in the trailer, his character model looks really, really, really good. But it was only a few aspects of his character. We didn't get to see a full design or anything like that. So very, very excited for that. And also, of course, God of War Ragnarok. Another game that, for those of you who don't know, was a remake of, I guess that wasn't necessarily a remake, but the newest title in the God of War franchise. They just went back and called it God of War, so I thought it was a remake at first, but it's actually a continuation of the past games. And I don't want to be like a lore podcast or anything like that. There's other people that are way better at that than me, but it basically follows Kratos, who is a demigod that kills other gods because they killed his wife a long time ago, yada, yada, yada. Drama ensues. He gets a lot of special powers, and he is now raising a son, and it struggles, or it shows the struggles of him being a father as well as being a demigod and trying to protect his family and, all the good stuff there. We learned in the last game that his son Atreus is actually, spoiler alert, Loki. So they've connected it to Norse mythology, and I'm really excited to see where they go with that. They talk about Thor and Odin in the last game, but they're not the same as the MCU Thor and Odin. So I'm pretty excited to see how they take those characters in different directions. So be looking forward to the future PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 games. Kind of back on the topic of Spider-Man, something else that happened pretty recently that my friends wanted me to discuss was the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer that dropped. I believe it was 2 weeks ago now. The Spider-Man No Way Home trailer looked really, really cool. It follows Peter after his identity has been revealed to the entire world, thanks to the what was the villain in the last one? Mysterio, that's his name. Mysterio put out that broadcast telling everyone who Spider-Man was, and now everyone knows who Peter Parker is, and they harass him at school every day and stuff. And so, out of desperation, Spider-Man goes to Doctor Strange and asks him to cast a spell that will erase the minds of everybody that knows who he is in the world. And so, hilarity ensues whenever Doctor Strange is trying to cast the spell, and Peter kind of butts in and ruins it, and ends up apparently opening a rift in the multiverse. So that will be really interesting to see. A lot of people think this is going to be the way that Sony integrates Tom Holland's iteration of the character into their kind of cinematic universe with Venom and Morbius. But we still have yet to see how that's going to happen. A lot of people also think that Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man are going to show up. And those kind of have a little bit more grounded foundations, because at the end of this trailer, we get to see Dr. Octopus, and wouldn't you know it, he's played by the same actor that plays Dr. Octopus in the Tobey Maguire films, Alfred Molina. So let me know what you guys think in the comments, if this is finally the MCU Spider-Verse event, or if people are just getting too hype about it and making theories over nothing. I could sit here and theorize about Spider-Man for hours, but I think I'm going to have to cut it off here. I've unfortunately got a time limit of around 10 minutes, and I can't really go over that. So appreciate you all for watching. If you would like to contribute, consider subscribing or going and following me on Instagram at It's Evan. And I will see you guys in the next episode. Take care.